Let's mix and master a Future Rave song. Yo, what is up guys, welcome to a new video. My name is Wildcrow and this is the fourth and last part of making a Future Rave song start to finish. And today we're gonna mix it and master it. But before going to the video, I want to say that yes, you can get this project if you want to, because I released the Future Rave template. This template is just a pack where you're gonna have this project, all the presets, all the samples, so you can learn with it. Of course, you cannot just take this project, render and release it by yourself, okay? You cannot do this. But what you can do is just take it to get the sounds, to know better the range, you know, to have it as a reference, to learn from this project. Also, what you can do is maybe take the project and change everything, you know, change the notes of the bass line, change the chords, change the key, change the melody, things like this, that in the end is gonna be a completely different song, but at least you have something to start with. So if you want it, down below in the description you have the link to get it. And yes, right now I still have Black Friday discount, so just get it right now. You have today and tomorrow Cyber Monday to get it with a 40% discount using the code BLACKFRIDAY40. But also you can get it for free if you wait until the end of the video. I'm gonna tell you how. Alright, so right now this is our song, this is what we have and we need to mix it. There's a lot of people that is gonna tell you that what you can do is just take all the mixer channels and do something like this. You reduce it to the minimum and from here you start. But I think this is not worth it because you already have a kind of mix down done. So why do you want to reduce all the volumes when you already have the volumes at a place that sounds quite good? Just start from there and maybe boost or reduce a little bit. So I'm just gonna start with the drop, and the first thing I like to do is always start with the kick and add the bass. For the key, what I like to do is to take a volume shaper and carry it around the half of the beat, something like this. And now we send this to the sub bass, and on the sub bass, the only thing we need to do is to right click and click on mirror on X axis. So this way they have the perfect sidechain. What I recommend to do is on the bass, reduce it a little bit, you know, make it a bit smoother. This way it's gonna sound a bit better. And as you can see in this plugin, the kick and the bass are perfect. This is the kick, this is the bass, and they are never touching. And now at what volume should be the kick and what volume should be the bass. To do this, I like to put a filter in the master. And now I use again the SM exoscope, and I check that the sub bass is not louder than the kick. It should be around the kick volume or maybe a little bit quieter, like right now. What I think I'm gonna do is make the mid bass a bit fatter and maybe cut a bit more the sub bass on it. And reduce a bit here. We can also touch a little bit the OTT we had. Let's check it now. Better like this. From here, what you can do is just add the leads, but sometimes I like to add first the drums like the rides or the claps. Why? I don't know, I just prefer to do it like this. So I think it's a bit loud. And now let's add the leads. But first, I'm gonna try to make the leads sound a bit better. So if we go to the leads, we have all of them in just one mixer channel. And most of the times I don't do it like this. Usually I put every layer in a different mixer channel. And I think that's the best option, because this way you have more control over each layer. And it's better to have each one in a different mixer channel, so this way you can reduce and boost in some frequencies in each different sound. So this way the layer is better. But here it was not really needed, because if we listen to different layers, they're not really clashing. The issue comes when we add these two new layers. These two sound pretty different, and maybe on these ones I want to have them in a different mixer channels. So I'm just gonna put them here, and of course I'm gonna send them to this mixer channel, so this way they have the same processing and right now sound exactly the same. If we start with this one, I'm gonna reduce a little bit more here and probably around here. And now we go to the second one. I'm gonna do the same. I think this way is gonna sound cleaner. Sometimes what I do is I just reduce as much as possible, you know, like this, and I look where it sounds cleaner. So for example here, it loses way too much body. If I reduce here, it sounds weird, but then if I reduce here, it sounds quite clean. So I just reduced a little bit, not that much of course. Now we only need to balance the volumes. I also want the leads a bit fatter, so what I'm gonna use is the OTT I have after the reverbs. Maybe boost a bit here. And of course not that much. And then in this last mixer channel, I have this EQ. But maybe I want to reduce around here. The last thing I'm gonna do in the leads, and I recommend you to do in every single bus or layer, is to add a limiter. Right now, even if you compress, there are some parts that is louder and some parts that is quieter. So let's say that you have a peak that is here and another peak that is here. The problem is that at this peak, maybe you mix the volume and here it sounds good, but here it sounds too loud. If you use a limiter, what you're gonna get is a max volume that is not gonna cross. So if at one part it sounds good, the other part is gonna sound good too. I just use the L1, and what you try to do is to don't reduce more than 6 dB. Of course, always listening that it doesn't distort. And yes, we also need to put it in the bassline. And now that we have the leads as we want, they sound as we want, and we have them controlled because of the limiter, we only need to match the volume with the rest of the song. There are a lot of ways to do it. Just using your ears, you know, you just boost, don't reduce the volume. Or what you can do is use different techniques that they use, and most of the times I combine them. The first technique is using ping noise. The ping noise is basically gonna help us to know if something is loud or quiet, because we're gonna have the noise as a reference point. The second tip is to listen to it really quiet. And the third tip is to put the master in mono, because sometimes the sounds that are in the sides feel louder. I don't know why, just like this. First, to use the ping noise, what you have to do is just make sure that you only hear each sound a little bit. Right now we hear perfectly the kick, so I'm gonna make this louder. And we can hear the kick, we can hear the bass, but just a little bit. Now, reduce the volume as much as possible, you know, really quiet. And go to the master and put it in mono. And from here you can start. For example, right now this is too loud. If we don't have the ping noise and we listen to it normally like this, maybe we think it's good. But when we reduce the volume, and if we have the ping noise, we realize it's too loud. And this is too quiet, I don't hear it. Here I think I can hear them, and you have to make sure that you hear every note, you know, you hear the entire melody, not just in some parts. Now let's bring back the volume and the stereo and everything. And now what I'm gonna do is make sure that some sounds that maybe are masked because of the leads sound good. So basically the right. Let's listen another part with the second leads. I'm gonna add the claps. And now let's go with the chords. For me the chords first sound a bit muddy, so I'm gonna reduce a bit more here. And I'm gonna add some OTT to make them sound a bit stronger. And now just mix the volume. As you can see with the chords, it's so difficult to know if the chords are loud or not, because as the chords are kind of noisy and we have a noise, we don't really know what's the noise and what are the chords. So my advice here is to try to get to a point where if they are muted, you hear that it doesn't sound that full. So right now you have the main sounds. From here you just have to add the new sound step by step. So just add these shakers. And add these downlifters, the noise, the crowd noise, and all these effects. I'm just gonna skip this so the video is not 3 hours long. So now we're gonna go to the breakdown, and the break is gonna be the same thing, the same tricks, the same techniques, and same way. So first I'm gonna listen to a wrist bass. Sounds good, as I want. Now let's listen with the leads. Make it quieter. They are good, they are not too loud. Let's get here. Maybe they are a bit loud, and you need to know this. In the breakdown and in the drop or in the build-up, the volume can be different. Why? Because you have different elements. So there's not a problem if you have to put a volume automation on the bus, you know, and control the volume in different parts. Now let's go with the voice sound. I think it's good. Let's listen here. Maybe for this part they're a bit loud. And also I'm gonna reduce around here. Make it sound cleaner. And of course, cut this sub bass. No more processing needed. Now let's add this string. I think it's good. Add this wind sound. You see, for this part, this string is too quiet. So what I'm gonna do is just make this unique, and in this part I'm gonna boost a bit the volume. Let's add these drums now, and to do this I'm gonna put the master in mono because they are wide. I think they are good here, but let's listen here. Maybe they are a little bit quiet here. This one is way too quiet, so I'm gonna boost just this one. Now let's add this breaking glass. It's good. And last but not least, our stab. I think it's good. I'm gonna put it in mono and raise the volume. And the only thing we're missing are the chords. Yeah, they are good, they are the volume I want, just to make it sound fuller. So basically, the breakdown is mixed, you know, maybe this is a bit loud, so I'm just gonna make it unique, so in the rest of the part it doesn't touch it, and reduce it with the volume, and it's done. Let's get to the build-up. I think this is too loud. This is good, it needs to cover the space. Maybe it's a little bit loud also. And there's another thing, they should be louder. You know, a good tip for the snares is that they should be quite close to the volume of the kick, because at the build-up the main drum is the snare, and at the drop the main drum is the kick, so if you try to match the volumes it's gonna sound quite good. And then if we go to the second breakdown has the same elements as the first breakdown and the drop, the only difference is this sub bass, and it's so easy to mix it. But also all the elements on the intro and all the elements on the outro are already mixed too. So yeah guys, with this basically I'm saying that the mixdown is done. Of course you can go more in detail, you can be more precise in everything, but on this video I'm just not gonna do it because otherwise this video will be way too long. But if you get the template, everything is gonna be at the perfect volume and perfectly mixed. And a really good tip that I cannot really use because of copyright is to have reference song in your project. So this way you're gonna know better how everything should sound, you know, the balance of the volume of different elements, how it should be, how much reverb, how much noise, how much highs, how much mids, all of this. So guys, the only thing we need to do to finish this song is the mastering. I have a lot of videos about mastering in my channel where I go more in depth about how to do it. So in this video I'm just gonna do a quick one, but of course making it sound good and loud. So for the mastering of this song I'm gonna start with an EQ, an endless smile, an S1 imager and a fruity balance. This EQ, what it's gonna do is have a low cut, and as the build-up goes we're gonna reduce the sub bass. So you only have to create an automation like this. Don't get crazy, okay? You don't want to reduce like this. Then with endless smile what we're gonna do is just boost this, so this way we add more reverb and we make it sound a bit more epic. Then when the drop comes and is drier, it has more energy. I usually go just to a 30%, something like this. Then with the stereo imager, basically we're gonna make it sound a bit more narrow, okay, not completely mono, not at all. So this way when the drop comes it's wider and feels better and stronger and all of this. So how much? Usually go just to 0.8, or if the song is too wide, maybe go to 75 or maybe 70, but not more. You can also use this trick here at the middle of the drop, but of course not like this, just in this bar. So this way we make the entire drop a bit more narrow, and then when we add these new leads that they make it sound fuller and wider, with this trick we're also gonna help it make it sound even fuller and wider, or feel like this. And last but not least, I'm going to create an automation of this fruity balance, but not in the build-up, in the entire song. And why do I want it in the entire song? Because this way later, if I see some parts that are too quiet, I can just boost the volume of the entire part, of the entire section. But for now, of course, we want to work on the build-up, and what we're going to do is reduce a bit the volume here in the build-up. Usually go to 1 dB or maybe max 2 dBs. So this way you create the feeling that the drop is louder. And right now that we have this, that is going to help the drop sound better when it comes, we're going to start with the actual mastering. I'm going to add an EQ, and I'm going to start looking for some resonance. This is not really resonance, but this is a frequency I don't really like, so I'm just going to use like 2 dBs. Also -6, and as this one is pretty strong, also I'm gonna use a dynamic EQ, like -1.5 more. And usually I don't look for resonance here, because most of the times here, everything is a resonance. So just don't do it. At this point, I always use the match EQ. I take a reference song, I take my song, and I try to match the EQs. I'm gonna use Kill Me Slow by David Guetta Morten. And for the match EQ, I'm gonna use the Ozone 9. Sometimes I give this plugin for free on my live stream, so if you don't want to miss it and participate to get this for free and other Isotope plugins, just subscribe and enable the notifications. And just go to reference, click on capture, and play the song. Right now, it's getting the average EQ of the song, and capture here your song. And now automatically it applies an EQ to match the EQs. Of course, you can touch here the smoothing, the amount and so, but always my advice is to click first on Game Match and compare with and without it. So this is with and without. Now I'm gonna use the normal Ozone 9. Yes, I also give this one for free in my live stream, so subscribe guys. And yes, I'm also gonna use the reference. And here what I'm gonna do is first take this out, go to Master Assistant, click here on Reference, just like this, click Next, and play your song. As you can see now, it's gonna analyze your audio, it's gonna compare it to the reference one, it's gonna apply EQ, dynamic EQ, the limiting, and those things. Now that this is done, I don't like to use this maximizer. This is not being used, and we only have the EQ and dynamic EQ. Of course, the EQ is way too much. I'm just gonna apply a little bit of it. Don't know why I went too crazy. And on the dynamic EQ, I most of the time just leave it like this, because this what it's gonna do is reduce in some frequencies, in a dynamic way of course, to make the limiting more transparent. Now just open an imager, click here like this, click on learn and play your song. So this way you're gonna get the right bands. And now just listen to a reference song. Check it here and also check it here. And now play your song. If you see it's maybe too wide, just make it a bit mono and do the same thing in each band. So basically I just did it like this, a little bit wider. Another thing I'm gonna do in this song is to use an exciter, so this way we make especially the mids a bit fatter. So just maybe this. Something like this, and compare before and after. Yeah, it adds an extra touch to make it a bit warmer. And the last thing before going to the limiter is use an EQ. On this EQ we're gonna cut the lows. I usually put it on 48 and I go around 30 Hz. And on the highs, the same 48 dBs per octave. And on the frequencies I go to 19,500. Of course, always check it like this. Now, what are you cutting here? What are you cutting here? And also a thing I like to do to give an extra perceived loudness is to take a wide band, something like this, and boost 1 dB or half dB around these frequencies. I look where I like most, and maybe it's just 1 dB. These also give a bit more presence to the leads. And super important, just go here on 0 latency and change it to linear phase. You don't need to go more than medium, this is good enough. And for the last step, the limiting, I always use 2 limiters. And why I do this? Because this way it sounds more transparent. I use the FabFilter Pro L2 to cut just the peaks, and then the Invisible Limit to really boost the song and, and compress it, squeeze it, so this way it sounds as loud as possible. So on the Pro L2, you just have to boost here the volume, and on the style, I recommend to have it on modern or transparent. I usually go to -2, something like this. And on the Invisible Limiter, the first thing I do is click here, so this way we stay with the same volume even if we boost it. Here it distorts, let's come back a little bit. Something like this is good, and just now disable this and you have your mastering. But before exporting, make sure that here the oversampling is on at least 16, and also here the oversampling is at 16. This way you're gonna have the best quality, and this way you're gonna make sure that you don't have aliasing and all these things. So guys, this is it. This is the mixing and the mastering on this song. Before showing you the end result, just let me say thank you for watching this series. Remember that you can get this template with the mixing, with the mastering and everything really organized. With the link down below in the description, you can get it with the 40% discount of Black Friday 40 today and tomorrow. But as I said at the beginning, you can also get it for free. How? What you can do is go to my last Instagram post where I have right now a giveaway. This giveaway is gonna end the next Tuesday the 30th. And maybe you're saying, oh, but I want to participate in this because I maybe can win it for free, but then if I'm not the winner, I'm gonna lose the opportunity to get it with a discount. No, because I have a solution for this. So if you want to participate so you can get it for free, but you don't want to lose the opportunity of getting the discount, what you can do is just buy it right now with the discount. And then if you are the winner, don't worry, I'm gonna refund you all the money. So well guys, just let me play a part of the song to show you the end result. Also don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, so this way you support me and I keep making these kind of videos. Nothing else, thank you so much for watching and see you in the next video.